Today's lesson on life is transfer trauma and caregiver role strain. All of this month we've been talking about the Crossings at Harborview, a full-service continuum care retirement community owned and operated by Harmony Senior Services in Roanoke, Virginia. The facilities are open to those 62 and older. They have rental apartments and services for independent living, assisted living, memory care, transportation, meals, activities, and housekeeping, as well as physical, occupational, and speech therapy. We've been sharing some awesome information all month long, and I'm excited to bring you one more episode, the last episode on the Crossings. Today we're going to learn about transfer trauma with me a little bit later, and caregiver role strain with Miss Mandy Creech, a registered nurse, and she's the healthcare coordinator at the Crossings at Harborview in Suffolk, Virginia. Please welcome to the show, Miss Mandy Creech. Welcome to the show, Mandy. How are you?
Doing good, thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me today.
Of course. I'm glad you could come out and join me today. Now, I understand you're the healthcare coordinator at the Crossings. Tell me a little bit about your background before you became the healthcare coordinator.
Okay. Well, as you said, I'm a registered nurse.
Okay.
I have been a nurse for almost 18 years.
Awesome. You don't look a day over 18 yourself.
Thank you, thank you. I have, over the years, I've specialized in neurology, urgent care.
Beautiful.
And one of my favorites, which is long-term care.
Okay.
As you said, I'm the healthcare coordinator at the Crossings at Harborview.
Okay.
And pretty much what my role is there is just to kind of help ease that process for the family members and the residents to when they move into the Crossings.
Awesome.
And just to help organize and coordinate the staff members and just basically keep everything running and make sure everybody's health is taken care of. And
I know you're going to do a great job. Now, also with the healthcare coordinator position, and not just that position, but in your experience, have you had to see a lot of people who have experienced caregiver role strain?
Definitely. That is one of the reasons a lot of times our family members and residents come to the Crossings or in an assisted living facility.
Let's give a little bit of a definition, I guess, in case caregivers are like, well, you know, I don't think I have that, you know. Just sort of give a general sense of what is it?
Right. Well, caregiver role strain is, you know, we think about a lot of, you know, the adult children that mom and dad is starting to need a lot of care. And so a lot of times they think back, you know, mom and dad, you know, took care of me when I was a baby, and they helped raise me. And so now it's my turn to give back. And so they kind of feel it's their responsibility to take on that role. And then we also think about husband and wives, and they're taking care of their spouses, and they think, you know, they remember their vows, you know, in sickness and health until death do us part. And so again, they think that that's their responsibility. So they tend to take that role of caregiving on you know, themselves. So that is you know, and what happens is, you know, a lot of times these individuals are they have full-time jobs, and they have family matters that they have to tend to, and when they're trying to juggle this caregiving with their full-time jobs and such, it can be very overwhelming. And
to my husband, you do have a responsibility to take care of me in sickness and in health. I just want to put that out there. And so in a way, you know, I do feel like there should be a sense of responsibility, and so I do want to separate that for people because yes, in a way we do have that responsibility, but at the same time today we're talking about their role strain / stress, and that's what Mandy and I really want to make clear, because yes, of course you want to take care of your loved ones, but when does it get to be role strain?
Right.
So Mandy, when does it get to when it crosses that line?
Okay, so a lot of times, like I was telling you, you know, they have full-time jobs and family matters they have to take care of, and so when you're doing all that and trying to pack that all in a 24-hour period, it becomes very overwhelming. And so
I hear that all the time.
Right, and the caregivers, you know, they are not sleeping at night, they're not getting the proper nutrition, they're not taking time for themselves.
Exactly.
And so what that happens is, you know, you think about when we're hot, we're tired and we're hungry, and we're stressed, we're like, you know, I need to get away. And so think about that day in and day out constantly. It's you know, it becomes to the point where, you know, you're overextending yourself.
I was doing a support support group with a group of folks who were dealing with, their loved ones were dealing with Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. And, I always, say it's always sad for me to go to those support groups because the loved ones line up to talk to me and they're crying and, they were fine during the seminar, but afterwards they're really hurt, and it's because they're tired, and many of them are older themselves, especially when we're talking about the senior community. If your husband or wife is 85 and you're trying to take care of them and you're 83, you're trying to lift them to put them in the car, you're trying to remember their doctor's appointments, and you have your own doctor's appointments. And so I find that some of the caregivers, sometimes they're missing their appointments, they're not eating correctly, they're not, socializing, they're not taking a break. And so I definitely hear exactly what Mandy's talking about. So I did want to sort of us separate that. Yes, you do have that caregiving role, but when does it become role strain? So I hope that you hear us today as we talk about this. What's your charge to those caregivers who are trying to be the perfect caregiver?
Okay, well, a lot of people try to think that they're Superman or Superwoman.
Mm-hmm.
They think that they can do it all.
Yes.
And, we can't do it all. We're not all around, flying with capes and,
Yes.
got that S on the front of our shirts here. So we have to, realize that, and we have
Yes.
to make sure that we're taking that me time.
Yes.
We're, calling that friend or that neighbor and saying, hey,
Very
can you come over for a few hours so that I can go to the grocery store, I can go get my pedicure,
Exactly.
or go get a massage. Have that me time to kind of break it up and
Exactly.
remember yourself. It's very important, because you think if you can't take care of yourself and you're falling apart, you definitely can't take care of somebody else.
Exactly. And in Mandy, in another conversation, we were talking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and you just sort of made me remember that sort of taking care of yourself, the basic needs.
Exactly.
There are some things, we have to focus on making sure that we take care of ourselves. And for this particular thing, I'm going to equate Maslow with saying, obviously we talk about food and shelter and clothing and those type of things. But same thing for the caregiver. You need to take care of your basic needs. You need to make sure you're eating, you're sleeping, you're exercising, make sure that you are getting enough rest, because like she was saying, if you don't take care of yourself, how can you help take care of someone else? And if you see yourself, you're tearing up and you're crying, that's always a top sign that you have some caregiver role strain, and you need to really talk to someone. But also Mandy has brought some awesome resources too that she's going to share as far as some things maybe that people can people need resources. They don't know what to do. I think, a lot of people do have the Superman, Superwoman syndrome.
Right.
And sometimes it's because they feel like they want to do it, but sometimes it's because they don't have resources.
Right.
So what resources can we offer folks?
Okay, well, there's a couple of options. One is like an adult daycare facility. So that works out well for individuals that work, so they can drop their loved one off in the morning and pick them up in the evening. Another one is like Meals on Wheels. So if you have a loved one that just needs help with food assistance and that kind of thing, and you can't run by and give them lunch every day, that is an option that you can look into. There's also companions, private duty sitters that can come in and help with those activities of daily living, such as bathing and dressing and toileting. So those are a couple of them. Also, when you start thinking about like weekends, or this is the summertime, and you think about vacation time, there's also respite services that are available. So those are perfect for, like, you want to take a weekend getaway but can't take mom or dad or a vacation because they're not able. And then if
fly or
right, exactly. Another thing is, when you think about long term, then you think more of like an assisted living facility or a memory care unit.
Exactly like the Crossings.
Exactly.
And so those are awesome resources. And I always love the respite care and the adult daycare, which I think is so cute. But it's really important. And most of these services that you've mentioned are usually covered by insurance. It's something that you can seek assistance with. It's not something you have to pay out of pocket, or it's a huge deal where you have to make several appointments. You need to get the services started, so it's something you can utilize. When I think about caregiver role strain, it makes me sad, because people do feel like they have this obligation, but at the same time, it is very overwhelming when you meet the caregiver who actually has the role strain. Not the one who's doing a great job, but the one who's really strained and stressed out. So is there any other information, or like what would you say to some of these caregivers who are needing assistance? As far as the crossings is concerned, some of the services maybe they can take advantage of at the crossings.
Sure. Well, the crossings is a 3-level senior community. So we provide independent living, assisted living, and a memory care unit. Memory care is dedicated to the individuals with dementia, Alzheimer's, that kind of thing. So we at the crossings we provide the basic like activities of daily living with bathing, dressing, meal preparation, laundry, housekeeping, those kind of things that you know really they wouldn't have to worry about, and they know that their loved one would be taken care of.
Yes, that's an awesome service, and I just thank you for highlighting the memory care. And because I think sometimes, you know, we said in other episodes, you know, sometimes a person is just an elderly person and they're doing really well, they can take care of themselves. But sometimes when you get to dementia, you get with Alzheimer's clients, it's really hard for caregivers to deal with some of those things. People need more than you're able to give as a lay person, as a regular person, if you're not a nurse or you're not in the healthcare field. So sometimes you do have to call people to get information. So stay tuned. We're going to have more information from Mandy Creech, our registered nurse and healthcare coordinator at the crossings. Thank you so much for watching It's Life Changing. Give her a hand, Miss Mandy Creech. Thank you. We'll be right back. It's now time for me to speak into your life. Today, as I was thinking about this particular topic, I want to talk about transfer trauma and prevention. I know some of you may not be familiar with the wording, but when I give you the definition, you'll definitely be familiar with it. When an elderly person moves from an independent living situation, that's their home, into a facility where he or she needs that continuing care or around-the-clock care, some people say, he or she may experience what psychologists call transfer trauma. It was once thought that transfer trauma can result in death, or in more recent studies, it's actually shown that it's not as serious as it has been believed. So let me break that down a little bit more, because I think that a lot of people are familiar with this information, but it's some information out there that's wrong. So with transfer trauma, that's that moving from your home. Some people, and we all carry this, so when you get older, you're thinking, I don't want to move out of my home for a lot of reasons, but many times the number one reason is I'm scared. I'm scared that I'm going to go to this home and I'm going to have declining health. Or you're going to move me out of my home or somewhere else and I'm going to get worse. And so many of us carry that with us as we get older, and we're afraid to move. And so I want to just sort of encourage those of you who are younger. All of us, I said, are aging. So we're all aging adults. Just to encourage you, to let you know that this thing does not have to be that bad. So that's why I want to talk to you about prevention, because like I've been saying, the thread of this whole series is that we want you to be in control of your decisions. We want you to be at the beginning of this process and not at the end where you're too sick to make choices, you're forced to make certain decisions, or someone else is making decisions for you. I want you to be in charge of your life. I want you to focus on living. So I want to give you this example, which I thought was really interesting. In gardening, you can liken transfer trauma to root shock, experienced by plants when you transport them from a container to a permanent place in your yard, or vice versa. The plant system must readjust to a new environment and to new soil. It must also begin taking in nourishment immediately if it is to survive. It has to be watered, fertilized, and carefully nurtured during those first few weeks after being transplanted. The same is true for anyone who relocates, and it's particularly true for elderly people who are being moved from a familiar environment to one that is unfamiliar. So how can we ease this transition? I have a couple of tips here that I want to share with you. First, it takes all of us about 3 to 6 months, we know in psychology, for us to transition, for us to really adjust to any type of transition, whether it's military, whether you're moving from an apartment to a house or house to apartment, whether you're changing schools, whether you're changing residence, it doesn't matter. All of us need that. Even with good transition from being single to married, maybe you're looking forward to that, but it still takes some time for us to adjust to that new lifestyle. So many people have many issues in that adjustment period because it's something new. And then they start thinking, my life is over, my marriage is terrible, I'm not going to be successful at this college or at this school. It's not that. Many people experience a lot of anxiety during that transition period, but there are ways to combat that. So that's what I want to talk about today that we can do, especially to the adult children. I want you to gather literature. It's really important that you get information, do your research, and understand what options are out there. Next, if you can do a video, maybe show something. People like things that are visual. If you have large, clear pictures that you can show them of different facilities, of different places, take your loved one to the facility that you might be thinking about to visit before you just take them there. Nobody likes to be dropped off, okay? You can also sort of schedule a tour. I know that the Crossings at Harborview will allow you to do tours. It's really important that you know about what's offered at these different places. Go in and do maybe an overnight stay if possible, and also spend some time with your loved one. Whenever we're doing anything new, if you're trying to buy a car, I know that guys do this. They go look at the car a lot, several times, okay? Women, if we're looking at houses, we go and look at the house several times. We want to see pictures. We want the panoramic view. And so same thing with your elderly or aging parents. It's really important that you go several times. Don't just take them there with suitcases and say, I knew you wouldn't want to do this, so I just decided to just do it. That's not very nice, okay? Get to know the services that are offered, all the activities, emphasize things that he or she might like to do that's being offered at the facility, and make the living quarters as homey as possible with their favorite blanket, pictures, favorite clothing, music, so on, so it feels like home. Last but not least, try to visit if you can, set a schedule. It's really important because when you have that schedule, people look forward to seeing you, especially as we get older. I love my elderly family and some that are just friends that I've met along the way, but they love knowing when I'm coming to visit them. And every once in a while I like to throw in a surprise and take ice cream, but people like to know that you're coming by to visit them. So if they are in a facility, have Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'll be here from 5 to 7 p.m. so they look forward to that visit. Thank you so much for watching. It's Life Changing. We'll be right back with your community resources. Now time for our community resources. I have with me on the show Dr. Rajiv Nanavati from, I'm going to say this right, Neurology and Sleep Associates of Suffolk. Right. Yes, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about what he does as a neurologist. So welcome to the show, Dr. Rajiv Nanavati.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
I'm so excited to have you. I read a little bit about you, and I see that you are very family oriented and that you love sports.
Who doesn't? But yeah, I live in Suffolk. I spend most time with my family.
Okay.
I love different sports, but I also love what I do for a living. So neurology has been my passion, and I'm fortunate enough to work in the field that I like so much.
Yes, and I understand you've been working in this wonderful field for over 23 years?
Yes, I basically got trained in India after doing my internal medicine work in neurology, and then I continued my training here in U.S. At VCU, and I did my residency and fellowship there, and ever since there I've been here in this area.
Wonderful. Well, I'm going to ask you just a couple of questions about neurology, just so you can sort of spread some knowledge and help people understand why they might want to come see you. So first, tell us a little bit about neurology, just as a quick definition for folks. What is neurology?
So neurology is a field of medicine that deals with issues related to brain, spinal cord, the nerves that come out of the spinal cord, and of course what we call peripheral nervous system, which includes the nerves, the muscles, and the junction between the nerves and muscles. Okay. So it's a wide variety of diseases that we cover, including conditions that affect brain primarily, like stroke or Alzheimer's disease or seizures. We also deal with with other conditions that affect the peripheral nervous system.
Yes, and I saw that you deal with a number of things, including Alzheimer's disease, dementia, Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, Bell's palsy, tension and migraine headaches, which I think a lot of people don't think about getting help for, and also seizure disorders. So are there some other major illnesses that people come to see you for? You mentioned sleep disorders.
Well, one of my partners is actually a sleep specialist, Dr.
Okay.
Sharma, so I let her deal with the sleep
Okay.
issues. I try to stay awake and deal with the other issues.
He said stay awake. Exactly. And neurology is such a keen field, especially among our seniors. So do you see a number of elderly patients?
Absolutely, absolutely. We have a lot of people, past their middle of the age group, beyond 50, for most part. I still don't call them old,
Okay.
but
They don't like that anyway.
my definition of old is 100, by the way. So
Yes, I like
everybody
that.
else is young. But we do see a lot of problems with memory problems,
Okay.
people with movement disorders,
Yes.
people with stroke and other brain conditions.
Yes.
That are in their 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s too.
Yes, wow. And what a blessing to be at 90. That's
Absolutely.
awesome. What are some of the signs related to the onset maybe of dementia or Alzheimer's or Parkinson's? I know those are like the three major ones when I think of sort of neurological matters that some of our seniors deal with. But what might be a couple of things that people want to be aware of, they might want to come in and get a checkup for?
Sure. So when we talk about dementia, by definition, dementia means that your brain is not working at a level it used to work before.
Okay.
Now, some of it happens to all of us, but when it starts affecting your day-to-day life, then it is a matter of concern.
Okay.
So for people who are observing themselves and want to further explore whether they have any medical problems or not, they should look into any common mistakes that they make as far as difficulty with shopping or difficulty with traveling by themselves,
Okay.
or forgetting paying bills, or
Taking their medicines.
taking their medicines or keeping their appointments.
Exactly.
I think that should be a red flag for them. For the families, when they observe that repeated questioning of the same matter becomes more frequent, not remembering a loved one's birthday or anniversary that they've been very particular about for years, things like that would prompt a red flag, and
Okay.
they should consult their physician or the neurologist.
Okay, that's awesome, because many times the physician will make that sort of specialist call as well. I saw that you also perform neurological testing as well as the sleep and the EEG testing, but you've already said that your partner does more of the sleep
Yes.
piece, but you also do neurological testing.
Right.
Is that sort of what you mean by people want to come in and get a checkup, or?
Well, the neurological testing that I perform most commonly in the office is related to nerve and muscle problems, or
Okay.
people who have pinched nerve, or people who have neuropathy
Okay.
because of diabetes. It's a test called EMG and nerve conduction testing that we
Okay.
do in the office.
Okay.
For dementia, for Alzheimer's disease, we perform clinical stuff that doesn't require any other testing, and we generally do the memory testing in the office. And in some select patients who can breeze through a simple test that I give in my office, I'll put them through a more extensive memory testing through other resources.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Didn't he do a great job? Yes. Okay, Dr. Rajiv Nanavati, thank you so much for sharing that information. I'm also wanting you to share your contact information. Where can people reach you?
So we have two offices in Suffolk area. One right in near OBC Hospital.
Okay.
It's a sports medicine building. Half of the Suffolk know it as the building that got hit by tornado.
Yes.
I have an office there, and me and my partner, Dr. Sharma, both of us have office hours there.
Okay.
We have another office in northern Suffolk
Okay.
that we were temporarily leasing, but we'll be moving to our permanent office
Okay.
next month. That will be on
Wonderful.
Harborview Boulevard itself. There's
Okay.
a new medical center going up there, and it's right on Harborview Boulevard.
Beautiful.
So
Okay.
people are welcome to contact me, even if they're not my patient, if they have a question,
Yes.
or if their physicians have questions.
Okay.
I always encourage people to
Thank you.
at least talk to me.
Thank you. Hear
Thank
that?
you.
You can contact them even if you have a question. Is there a phone number? I think I have one here too. Your 757-934-1900.
That is the best phone number to get in touch with me, and just leave a message for me and whatever questions you have, and I'll be very happy to answer.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rajiv Nanavati. Thank you. And last, I want to sort of wrap up the session with Ms. Mandy Creech, our RN and healthcare coordinator at the Crossings. Mandy, thank you so much for coming back on the show.
Thank you for having me
You shared
today.
some really great information earlier about the Crossings. I'm just so excited for you to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I just wanted to close today with letting everyone know that we have a lot of great services here at the Crossings. Not like I mentioned, we have the 3 levels: the independent living, the assisted living, and the memory care. But also, we have a lot of fun things to do.
Yes.
We have a movie theater. We have a pub and bistro. We have a library with internet access. We have an exercise room. So we have a lot of fun things, as well as activities that are planned, and so a lot of fun things to do.
Yes.
There's a great way that everyone can take a peek at that on our website. You can actually get a virtual tour. So you can visit us on the website at www.thecrossings@harborview.com. If you'd like to reach out to us by phone, our phone number is 757-214-6279. And we also have a welcome center, which is located at our construction site. It is right off of Harborview Boulevard, right behind the Starbucks.
Okay, awesome.
So-
She did an awesome job. Let's give her a hand, Ms. Mandy Creech.
Thank you.
And all month long, we've been talking with the Crossing staff, and so I just want to say that we know that change can be difficult, but this transition can be a wonderful experience. When you have the right personal care, like with the Crossings at Harborview, having someone there to take you from beginning to end, having such a caring staff. You've met a lot of the staff this month, people who really care, genuinely care about healthcare, care about people, and also information on financial planning. All that great information that we've had on every episode is really important, and also helping you to stay connected to your medical community. They also have people that are willing to come to you for doctor's appointments, and also places where you can go that are really close, or transportation to take you to those appointments. And of course, wonderful community resources just to strengthen your emotional and spiritual well-being. And I'm just so excited that they're doing these sort of something different. It turns the senior community into something that I want to do. And again, I always want to keep saying my theme for people who are watching these episodes is I want you to remember, I want you to live, I want you to enjoy every day that you have on this earth. And so I hope that you've heard us through these 4 episodes, and I thank you again so much for watching. It's life-changing. God bless you. I'll see you next time.